Welcome to ConnectHer, the Bold Life podcast, where we have real, raw conversations about life, leadership, innovation, faith, and economic empowerment. I am your host, Kristy Jackson. I'm an author, speaker, and founder of the ConnectHer Collective and SheCan Connect Global Network. This season, we're going even deeper. I'm so excited to be sitting down with world changers, innovators, and barrier breakers who are living out loud and leading with soul. So wherever you are, driving to work, journaling in your quiet corner, or about to make a bold move in your business, I want you to know this space is for you. And guess what? You don't just have to listen. You can be a part of the movement. Support the show by sewing into what we're building. If this podcast inspires you, please share it with someone or consider financial support via Venmo or Cash App at ConnectHer Global. Every dollar helps us keep this real, raw, and necessary conversation going. And it helps us expand the reach to even more women around the globe. And if you are a brand or a business that aligns with Bold Purpose, we're inviting Season 2 sponsors. So let's connect and collaborate. And you can email us at connectherkj@gmail.com. ConnectHerkj@gmail.com. Now let's dive in. Today on the ConnectHer podcast, we are talking about the art of the ask, connection, confidence, and craft. And I have two guests today with me, Amanda Crawford and Cheyenne Tipton, that really have two unique pathways, working in two totally different careers. But I thought it would be interesting to bring both of you together to talk about the synergy that you have in connection with confidence and craft. So welcome to the ConnectHer podcast, ladies.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
You are welcome. So I want to start with, I guess I'll ask this question of both of you. Will you first of all introduce yourself and tell us just a little bit about your journey and what drew you to your current role? And Amanda, I want you specifically to talk about how you got from a bachelor's to a master's to crafts. How did that happen?
Well, the funny thing is I actually wanted to be a chef when I was growing up. So that was a big, it went in kind of the back seat when I was doing well in school. I had that vision. You go to college, you get a real career. And I kind of had my parents' expectations of myself just standing over my head. So I ended up going to school for food science and biology, then ended up finishing 12 and a half years later in psychology. And then I still had that expectation I've got to do something practical with my life. I'd been doing food service the whole time, but I got a master's degree in human resource development thinking, I can make a difference in people's lives. And I got into the human resources career field and I hated it. I hated it. Mm-hmm. And my last job in HR, we were laying people off the whole time and it just broke my heart.
Yeah.
It broke my heart and I felt like I desired that human connection and I couldn't connect with people that were afraid that I was going to fire them.
Yeah.
So
good point.
I got laid off and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. I ended up going back to bartending, which I'd done some in the past, but I hadn't really. I played up my experience a lot more than I probably had a right to in my interview, but I ended up at the St. Louis Club where I have been for almost 2 years now. Mm-hmm. And I love it. I love what I do. I get to connect with people every day.
Yeah.
I get to experiment and do some of that things I really hoped I would do as a chef. I do a lot more cooking and bartending than I really expected.
Yeah, yeah.
And it really gets my creative juices going in such a way that I have that sense of I'm making something it may not make a difference, but it helps me connect with people.
And you absolutely do, because that's how we connected, right?
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, being members of the St. Louis Club, and I mean, just the care that you take and the knowledge that you have about the spirits and the syrups and how it's like, this is truly a work of art for you, right? So speaking of a work of art, Cheyenne, I want to ask you, how did you get into the field? When I kind of look at your LinkedIn profile and your experience around like sales and strategic partnerships and things like that, what drew you to that path? Because that really involves a lot of connection.
It does.
Yeah.
That's an interesting question. So I've been doing sales for I think around 12 years, and just like Amanda said, connection was really at the heart of it for me. I really love hearing people's stories and getting to know people and sort of having that, just sort of that type of relationship. You know, I know a lot of times in sales it can be sort of like almost like a transactional kind of thing.
Transactional, yeah.
But that's never really been me, and that's never really been what I'm about. And in my journey in sales, I started moving less from transactional type of sales to more personable, like consultative type of sales.
Yes.
Because you really. What's so rewarding to me about it is the connection and then also the problem solving. So if you get to know somebody and you really listen to them and you're really connected to them, you might realize, maybe this person needs to be connected to this person, or maybe this person needs to be connected to this person, different than just, what the solution you have for them in front of you.
Yeah, because a lot of times they don't even know that they need your solution.
Yeah.
So it's all in how you look at it around that. It's like helping people buy.
Yeah.
But in order to help them, you have to kind of see what their need is.
Right.
Yeah, love that.
I love to love who I work with.
That makes a difference.
It does.
It really does. And it's okay for you to have that as an expectation, right? Because oftentimes when we get into careers, we're just so worried about the value that we will offer that particular job, or, what we will bring. But we don't really think about, what our expectations are to be able to be the most productive in that environment. Yeah, I love that you said that. Yeah. So I think, both of your roles, as we said, involve connecting. But what have you learned about like reading people? I mean, we kind of call that soft skills, but it's kind of hard to teach. But I think that if you have that as a skill, it really will help you be more successful in your career, especially with the work that you ladies are doing.
Well, go ahead, Amanda.
Well, I found that through my connection with my customers, members, as it is at the St. Louis Club, I've always been grateful to work for places that had a lot of regulars. You get to know their stories, you get to know what they want, and it's a really big, it kind of ties back to my HR training. It kind of ties back to my psychology degree, just getting to know people's motivations, what makes them tick, and how I can make their day better.
Yeah. I love that piece, how that psychology, plays into all of that. Because there really is psychology around buying, how people make the choices, that they make. Have you found that in your experience?
Totally.
Okay.
And to echo what Amanda said, I mean, reading people has sort of been a constant through my sales career. Over a decade. It's just a skill that you sharpen. And being able to sort of get a sense of, the environment that you're in and, what type of responses you might be getting is really beneficial, not only in a sales environment, but from a relationship building perspective. And through my own sort of healing journey, I've been able to, sort of meet people where they're at in an easier way. And I've had an easier time sort of, adjusting to different types of environments and, just sort of, like I said, meeting people where they're at,
we often say that, I love that you said that about like doing your own work because, people do buy because of you. I don't care what you say. I mean, I had no interest in spirits in the way that I do before I met Amanda, right? And I mean, Cheyenne, we have worked together on several projects. And, I just have seen how the care that you take with making sure that everybody has what they need. And just when we initially connected, I think it was at WEW, right? Where we initially connected. I mean, it just wasn't about the sales piece. You were just really curious about me as a person. And, we tried to continue to stay connected, through LinkedIn and, just things like that. But I think it just makes a difference when you are clear about who you are as a person, and that comes through and inspires the work that you do. Right?
Totally agree.
Yeah. So what would people assume about the work that you do that they totally get wrong? Because there's a lot of assumptions out there.
I think a lot of what I run into is people that see you as a one-dimensional character. Like, this person makes drinks, they are nice, they have this ease about them, but that's all they have. I don't get a lot of people knowing that I have a master's degree, that I came from a very strong academic background, even though I've gained a lot of people skills, but some of that was gained through HR, recognizing people's motivations, recognizing how I can assist them.
Yeah.
And really, it gives a bit of a depth to what you do, being an expert in what you know. Like, I've gotten my intro sommelier certification. Since I've been at the St. Louis Club, I've gotten my certified specialist of spirits. So being that expert, you can help people in a way that they might not expect from somebody that is, a food service worker.
Yes.
At the end of the day, I've been in food service for almost 20 years now. So it's definitely unexpected, but not necessarily out of the realm of possibility. It's something about being passionate about what you do and being passionate about the connection that people find surprising, but overall really fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Fun. It's okay to have fun in your work, right? Cheyenne, what would you say? What are some assumptions that people make?
Well, I think, being in sales and being a woman in sales, I think I get underestimated, and I think
that part.
And Amanda, you probably relate to that too.
Yes.
But I mean, I know we all relate to that as women. But being in sales, I think people expect me to sort of be pesky.
Yeah. And that it's just all about the dollar. You're all about the product.
Yeah.
And that, you really don't have a passion around, I like to say, helping people buy what they need.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like I said at the beginning, connection is at the heart of what I do.
Yes.
And people are at the heart of what I do. And I genuinely care. I'm actually in transition right now, as we've discussed.
Yes.
And, as this layoff has occurred, I'm starting to, like these prospect relationships that I've built and these partnership relationships I've built, it's like the pressure is gone and we're just friends now.
Yes.
And I feel like that's really a testament to the relationships that I've built with them, because I really care about the people that I do business with.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I want to feel good about what I put my time into.
And so you obviously have built authentic relationships because they've carried on beyond the work. So what does that process look like, right? I mean, like Amanda said, it's not easy to make those real connections with people. Like, she's had to pull from some of her experience in other areas. And so it's not easy for people to do that, to come off as authentic, really, when they are trying to build these relationships. So what, for someone that wants to get better at that, sharper at that, what does that look like?
That's a great question, and I think that there's a lot that goes into it. I think it's a mix of multiple different things, but for me, I think it was a matter of, going through my own healing work, like I mentioned earlier, and really learning who I was and becoming comfortable with who I was, and then being comfortable honoring that truth when I went out into the world. That really allowed me to show up authentically, and when you show up authentically, you find your people that way. And of course, there are steps for relationship building, consistent check-ins, things like that. But showing up authentically has really made all the difference. And I feel confident about showing up as me because I love me.
Yes, we do too. That's why you're here today. We do
Great.
too. But I love that you shared that because oftentimes we think that, what we need is outside of what we already have. And so we're always trying to Google or get training or, learn tips and tricks to kind of help us get further faster.
Yeah.
But what you're saying is that it starts with you.
I mean,
For you, that has worked. And I'll say for me, it has worked.
well, Michael Jackson said it too.
I'm starting with the man. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
The man in the mirror? Yes. It's so true. Do you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely.
Amanda, yeah.
Absolutely.
It does. I mean, it's a journey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people connection, people are just people for one, and we make it a lot harder than we need to oftentimes.
Definitely.
But I'm interested in learning more about this idea around joy. That having joy as a value in the work that you do, right? Because I see a lot of people that don't have it. They're disheartened. There's so many challenges that we're facing now, politically, economically, and relationally, right? I mean, since the pandemic, people have had a challenge trying to get to know people, and just kind of building those authentic connections. So let's talk a little bit about joy and how do you recharge and stay grounded so that you have something to give when you are making those connections.
I think what my journey toward finding joy, not only in my career, but in my life, has been being honest with myself. You go to work 40 hours a week, if you're lucky.
Right.
But you go to work 40 hours a week, you spend time away from your family, you spend time away from your loved ones. You can spend 40 hours a week plus a commute doing something that you hate, and it's not doing you a service. I took a pay cut when I left HR and went back to bartending, but it was so much stress lifted off my heart. It was not that existential dread going into work every day, wondering what shoe was going to fall next. It ended up being, I get to be around people I like. I get to play with ingredients that I've never played with before. I get to do something new every day and meet people and meet their expectations, but also be some of that unexpected that really allows me to connect, make those social connections that I need in my life that were missing in the HR world. You couldn't be friends with people who would duck down in their cube every time you walked by, thinking that they're losing their job at any moment.
Yeah.
I bet it's pretty special too, being able to create something special for someone.
Oh, absolutely.
And then when they try it and they love it, I bet that's extremely rewarding.
It is. I get not only creative energy, but just so much happiness from being able to take a desire, make it reality, and make it better than expected.
And there's such a social aspect to both of your careers. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just brings people together, when you think about it in a way, because both make life better for folks. I mean, you know what I mean? Whatever that is. And you've done some work in the media realm, right? And so around like storytelling. And how have you seen that I guess make more of a difference with like building those connections and relationships?
Interesting question. I think storytelling is a really powerful tool. And that's why we're here today, right?
That's right. That's right. And I don't want to interrupt you, but it is just so interesting that people are more apt to say yes, to just kind of share their story. Right? I mean, there were people that, I might have said, ooh, I may not ask them to be on the podcast because they're probably going to be like, no, I will not come and talk to you. But every person that I have asked has been Oh, sure. I'll come because we want to talk about our experiences.
Yeah.
We want to connect,
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I
Yeah.
agree with what you're saying.
Well, and just to your point there, I mean, stories, people resonate with stories. Stories resonate with people, and people love to hear stories. It makes them feel included. It makes them
Yes.
feel seen and heard, and like they're not alone.
Yes.
And I think, as that translates to business, I think, it really sort of humanizes a brand, storytelling, whether that through a podcast or whether that through video.
Yeah.
Or through copy or print content. But I think that people really love to hear a good story because it just resonates. I think that's really what it comes back to.
Yeah.
And you had a question earlier about joy for Amanda, and I wanted to touch on that
Sure.
too.
Yeah. This for
Absolutely.
both of you,
Okay.
really. Yes, for both of you.
Well, I wanted to say two things. On the professional side and then also on the personal side. So on the professional side, I found it really interesting to take this perspective and, do with it what you will. But
Yeah.
I think on the professional side, it comes down to, what brings you joy at work. So for me, problem solving is something that interlaps from the personal side, but also the professional side. And problem solving is something that I get to do in sales. So understanding what those issues are and sort of, coming full circle on those and helping people to solve those issues, even if I'm not the person to solve them, and so during this, transition period, my fiance is also looking, and so he keeps coming to me with the question, I don't know what industry I want to be in. I don't know which direction I want to go. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about what you're passionate about.
Yes.
I mean, I know you're good at using a drill, but what do you actually enjoy about the hands-on work? And so I think that can be really sort of like a driver for finding joy in your professional life.
Yeah.
And then personally, I mean, I think it comes back to knowing yourself, and what makes you feel rejuvenated. For me personally, I'm an artist and I love to paint, and that gets me rejuvenated. That
I
brings
didn't
me
know
more.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, that brings me more energy and more life because it feels like me, And I feel like, you can go through all week. You could be facing problems like Amanda does in her HR career all week. What's the next thing that's going to drop on my plate? But if you know yourself and you come back to yourself,
Yeah.
I feel that makes all the difference.
It's huge. And I know that for me, that has been a journey, right? Because I have been so focused on my passion in serving others through, the entrepreneurship work that we do, through just kind of building relationships, with women. And the older I get, I take more time for me, right? To learn those things that I care about, that I really enjoy, and the more I do that, the more I realize, oh, you're a pretty cool person. Like, I like being with you. I like being with you. I like that girl in the mirror, that woman in the mirror.
Yeah.
And it does give you more confidence, right? To try those things that you wouldn't normally do before. And to your point about thinking about what do you want out of this next career opportunity, especially because there are going to be people listening that are in transition. And both of you, in a sense, have navigated transition or are navigating transition. And so if you were to have your next dream opportunity, Cheyenne, what would that look like for you?
Oh, there's a lot of answers to that question.
Okay.
But my next dream opportunity, I mean, I would really make an impact in the community. That's what I'm called to do. And I know that. That's part of the reason, I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I'm a firm believer in that.
Yeah.
And I've built this great, incredibly supportive network. And I think that's just leading me to the next phase of doing something impactful. So I've been sort of, looking in the nonprofit world. And, there are some personal issues that I'm interested in serving in. So making an impact in those areas, I feel really called to do. But on the other side, I have a lot of years of experience in sales, and I would love to be able to, sort of pass on that knowledge and hold a leadership role and sort of develop others and help them get, acclimated to their careers. I think that would be impactful as well. So
yeah,
I'm keeping my options open, but I know that I know that I've got to help and support some people.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that I've done up to this point has been leading me to this moment.
Yeah. I mean, that is the critical piece. You have to know what you want.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I mean, so in some cases, you do have to just kind of take what you can get.
Mm-hmm.
There were stages in my life where I had to do that.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you get to that point, because you are more impactful when you enjoy your work. You know, no matter what that is. And I love that you are not letting your experience per se define what you should be doing, you know, because I think that life is just it's about learning, and it's about just having all of these different experiences. And the salad of all of that is like the beauty of your unique experience in
Yeah.
life, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. So this is a question that I have for both of you. If your career were a cocktail, what would it be called and why?
Ooh, you go first, Amanda.
I know you might have to think about that. If your career were a cocktail, what would it be called and why?
I want to be thoughtful about my answer.
Yeah, take
I
your
think-
time.
I think probably if my life was a cocktail, it would be called The Road Less Traveled.
Oh, I love that.
I love that poem growing up. It always spoke to me, taking the road less traveled. And it's kind of been my experience. So I think it
Yes.
would be something not necessarily unexpected, but different enough to open minds and then ultimately bring the kind of joy that I've found in my life.
Oh, that's so good. Now I'm going to challenge you to tell me the ingredients in that, because you can do that. You can do that. Now, Cheyenne, do you have yours yet?
I think I do.
Okay.
Amanda's inspired me.
Uh-huh.
So similarly, like you mentioned, the book that was important to you. When I was growing up, a really important book to me, which actually sort of sparked my interest in art, was Where the Sidewalk Ends by Shel Silverstein.
Oh, yes, I
one?
do. Yeah.
And I think that book would be, I think that title would be a cool cocktail name,
That
but also
would.
I think that life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And I am.
I'm like doing snaps over here.
I am always
Absolutely.
uncomfortable. So.
Absolutely. So, okay, now I want to taste these cocktails now. I love. So, Amanda, that's a challenge for you. You got to come up with some ingredients for us. So, I'm gonna share mine. Mine would be, and this I'm gonna shout out Shots by Amelia. We were just at a networking event, and she created some custom cocktails for a community networking event, and it was called She Means Business. And I think it had like some rum in it and some just kind of some other sweet flavors.
It meant
and
business.
and it meant business. So that would be the name of my career cocktail. She Means Business.
I love that.
Yes.
I'm going to snap for you.
Well, this is cool. So we've come to the part of our conversation where we do our ConnectHer challenge. So I don't know if you're familiar with our ConnectHer cards, but we have some photo cards here that we use for journaling, for strategic thinking, but really just for reflection. So I'm going to ask you a question, and I want you to pick a card. You don't look at it until till I ask you the question. So both of you can go ahead and pick a card.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you actually two different questions. So after I ask you the question, then I'll look at the card and then you can respond. So for Amanda, I'm going to ask you. I'm talking about Amelia. I've got that cocktail on my brain. So for you, Amanda, what is the biggest lesson that you have learned? How does this picture relate to the biggest lesson that you've learned? Okay. And for you, how does the picture relate to a strength that you have?
I think
So tell us what the picture is.
so. My picture is a woman multitasking while having her small child there at her desk, really being a Wonder Woman of sorts. I think finding that balance between being that softer side, that nurturer, and then being a business mind as well, finding that balance in life is really something that I relate to, finding not only work that allows you to find that balance, but work that charges that balance, that really leads into how you can be all these things at once. And I love that.
Yeah, absolutely. If you find the sweet spot between that work-life balance, you've done it. You've done it. What about you, Cheyenne?
Well, I just want to say I love what you said, because I really think balance is the key. You
Yes.
It
balance
is.
is the key.
It is.
So my picture here is of two people using their phones together, and I'm assuming they're texting or communicating in some way. And your question for me was, how does this picture relate to my strengths? And I would say that one of my biggest strengths is my intentionality. I can be incredibly intentional about who I spend my time with, and I feel like that's been one of my biggest lessons in the business world. I mean, there are people who look like movers and shakers.
Yeah.
But they're spinning their tires a lot of the times. And I've been really intentional about who I spend my time with. And, I want to spend time around people that are also growth oriented. And I want to spend my time around people who also want to make an impact in the community. And I want to spend my time around people who care about people. And I don't want to spend my time around people who don't.
Yeah.
It's finding that alignment, and
is.
being intentional about finding that alignment. And I think, who you spend your time around, says a lot about you in business.
What do they say? You are the sum of like the 5 people that you spend the most amount of time with.
Yeah.
It is so true, because they are your influence, right? I mean, so I love that comment about, just being intentional. And really, again, this podcast is about being that voice and that connector for those women that don't have those types of people in their circle. They may not know amazing women like yourselves that have these amazing journeys, and that are so reflective that can kind of give them those pieces of advice. So this could be considered that friend mentor to those that are listening. So I want to ask you, have you all had mentors in your life that have helped you sort of advance personally or professionally? And tell us a little bit about the impact that they made with you.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, since I've joined the St. Louis Club, they put a lot of faith in me with as little craft cocktail experiences I had, as little, fine dining, getting with that upper echelon of presenting myself in a way that their members would appreciate. But my best mentor since I've gotten there is actually my bar manager, Joel. He is Joel Clark. He is just...
Shout out to Joel.
Oh, my God. Not only has he helped me with that personal connection piece, he's also really inspired me to be better at my craft, expand my mind, giving me resources to lead me to success, being that support when I'm like, I have this weird idea. Can I make it work? He's like, well, yes, you can. This is where I would start, but put yourself into it. He's really allowed me to be more myself than I've ever gotten an opportunity to be in a job. And I love that. I had no real mentors in the HR field. And I feel like that's why I didn't succeed. Aside from just the job content, I didn't have that person that was willing to really be there and be that support to lead me to be a better, be better in my career, but not just that, be a better self, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Mentorship is so powerful in our experience, and it's needed. It is so needed. But, young professionals especially, and really professionals in general, I think like the statistic of like folks that have mentors is like 30% or below, and I know mentorship has played a huge part in my life, with just having, and I'm going to shout mine out, Kathy Lambert is just, she has been such a gift and a mentor to me, in my life, and not just showing me what to do, but making introductions and making connections and putting me on platforms, right? So that's kind of where we talk about the difference between like mentorship and sponsorship, that comes in, and it makes a huge difference. So have you had people like that, Cheyenne?
I've never really had a direct mentor. I've done like some coaching and therapy.
That works too.
But no, I've never really had a direct mentor. But in the position, my most recent position, working as the director of strategic partnerships for Lifetime Media, I've been fortunate to spend a lot of time around other leaders in our community. And if I can share an experience real quick. Okay, so I was at Midwest Bank Center's nonprofit ConnectHer event last October, and I believe Orvin Kimbrough.
Yes.
Okay. And he is such a great example of leadership in this community. And I hope he hears this. Hi, Orv. But, we were in a conversation. So I'm in this conversation with Orv and a few others. And this gentleman comes up to bring hors d'oeuvres. And Orv stopped the conversation. He goes, "Hi, Cody. How are you doing?" And Cody was like, I'm good. and Orv said, "What do you have here for us?"
He saw Cody.
Yes. He saw Cody. And that example stood out to me so much. Because someone who's running this big event with, hundreds of nonprofits here and hundreds of people here, he stopped to see the gentleman serving him hors d'oeuvres and really make sure that he felt appreciated and recognized. And that lesson has really translated in how I connect and communicate with people in today's world. And I reached out to Orv just after that, and I was like, this really stood out to me. And I saw him a couple weeks after that too, and I said, I'm still thinking about that lesson. Yeah. So, it's... I'm very vigilant in terms of paying attention to those things that are impactful towards growth. So.
Yeah. Well, I love that you shared that perspective, because sometimes you can have mentor moments and it doesn't necessarily have to be a mentor relationship, right? Yeah. And I love that, because, leadership expands your influence, but it also expands more of your personality and who you are, and your character makes a huge difference. So I love that story about Orv, because you're sharing that, he has not forgotten who he is, right? And you kind of talked about that, Amanda, as with the assumptions that we make about people that work in the hospitality industry. You just never know who's behind that uniform, or serving that, food, or, serving you that cocktail. But it's to see them as a human being first, and to be grateful for the fact that they are serving you in the way, that they are.
Everyone has value, and that's been a tremendous lesson. Everyone has value, and there is no one person who is more or less valuable than the next.
I love that.
I find that's been a really hard lesson for me to learn. I grew up with terrible self-esteem. I grew up, so in my shell, and it's been wonderful finding that value in myself. And the more I find that value in myself, the more people around me see my value as well.
It definitely starts with you. I was going to ask you to share just a closing thought for those that are listening that might inspire them to be more of themselves, but I think you just did that. Is there one, Cheyenne, that you would love to share?
Oh my gosh, do it. Do it. Do it scared. It doesn't matter. Just do it scared. I that's why, where the sidewalk ends, that's why that would be my cocktail.
Yes.
Because life begins at the end of your comfort zone. And I firmly believe that if you're scared, that means you're probably moving towards the right direction.
Oh my God. Absolutely. That energy, those nerves, those butterflies. I always say, when I stop having butterflies, that's when I'm in the wrong position.
Yes.
That's when I'm in the wrong space, because it's not giving me the energy or the excitement that I need to do it, right? So how can we follow you, ladies? Stay connected. Do you have a YouTube channel, Amanda, or some space where we can see more of your cocktails, or do we just need to show up at the St. Louis Club and
Join the club.
so
No,
that we can experience.
I do have, I'm not as active on LinkedIn as I really could be or would like to be, and that's a goal going forward. I do have an Instagram that people can follow. It is My Spirited Journey. So it's been my journey through creating cocktails, through doing these competitions. I've done 4 competitions now. Came in 3rd place and 2nd place in my last 2, so there's only room to go up.
That's so cool.
So really putting out there my joy for people to follow along my interests, my joy, my I'm sorry, I'm having an ADHD moment.
We have real moments here on our ConnectHer podcast, so that is absolutely fine. In listening to this, this sounds like My Spirited Journey sounds like a book, or it sounds like a documentary, and I may know somebody that could help you with media and storytelling.
Oh,
if you met my
wonderful.
friend Cheyenne,
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
maybe there'll be some connecting after this episode.
I'd love to.
Oh, wonderful.
I have an old card, but I'll share it with you.
Okay.
Love that. All right, so where can we follow you, Cheyenne?
I keep pretty quiet on everything except for LinkedIn. So I am on LinkedIn every day. You can definitely find me on there. I'm all over that place.
Okay.
So.
All right. Same.
Yep.
Well, thank you, ladies, for joining us. I have really enjoyed this conversation.
Thank you.
I've really enjoyed this conversation. And I think the beauty of this particular episode shows what can happen when synergy happens, right? 2 different pathways, 2 different experiences. But I think the synergy that we found is joy, is purpose, and the power of connecting.
Yeah.
So thanks for tuning in to the ConnectHer, the Bold Life podcast. If today's conversation hit home, please share it, tag us, and leave a review. If you want to support this movement, and if you have a bold brand that wants to sponsor this season, reach out to us. Until next time, stay bold, stay grounded, and be a connector.